Hello, our lovely League Summoners and Riven mains and Yasuo players. We are Inside for Nerds, and he is. Uh, who are
Yeah.
you?
Hello?
So, what do you think the casual bad people at the game main beside Riven, Yasuo, Pantheon, and Zed, right?
What's your main again?
My main, God, I don't main Yasuo,
Okay,
but
so
back in the day,
so as
back
it stands right now, we're uploading this a little bit late, and the games for the first day of the week for NA have already happened, but it'll give us a little insight of what we think is gonna happen. So, man, I'm not too hyped up about any of this right now, honestly.
well, not only has EU and NA degraded, but we have our dignity at least, don't we?
Yeah, honestly, I think both major regions and both EU and NA have been playing slightly worse than they have been in the past few weeks recently.
I mean, Korea doesn't look that much better either. I got a chance to watch some of the Korean games too. Holy moly, have you seen a Freak of Freaks?
A Freak of Freaks isn't a top three team though.
That I mean, neither is like Damn One either, but
Damwon
you
looked
know,
good.
but I think like if you look at today, isn't Clutch facing Echo Fox on this day?
Mm-hmm.
Clutch had a 10,000 gold lead against 100 Thieves. They were winning the game. 100 Thieves literally got the freest win of their life. Clutch just like griefed a win for them. I don't really know how that is possible. It's like Clutch don't even know how to win with a 10,000 gold lead. I don't know how they can win in general now.
I mean, this is a really bad indicator of what I think this is gonna come for the rest of the season. Like,
I think it might be the rest of the year.
I mean, that's the rest of the season.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
at this point, I'm not too hyped up. Even Demonte's not playing that well. Piglet played pretty poorly. Like, I think this entire team is just falling apart all around each other.
they're just not good anymore. They're all washed up.
Possibly.
I mean, there's if you can't win having a 10,000 gold lead, I don't really know what else you can do at that
Again,
point.
I think it mostly comes down to their lack of coordination, lack of synergy, and lack of shot calling. Like, there's a lot of things. I'm thinking more so in mechanical aspect. I think they would be fine if they had at least one person directing the team in the right direction. But none of
But they
them
had
are
they were
pre.
9-0 though.
What's up? Who
They
was
were Clutch were 9-0.
9-0?
Yeah, today they had a 10,000. I don't even know how they lose today.
Again,
Today
they don't know how to close out the game. They're like a worse version of Excel in my opinion, because Excel has one of the best early game, like it has one of the better early games I would say in the LEC, but they don't know how to close out the game past mid game. I think that's kind of something similar I would say to Clutch Gaming. I do think they lack in pretty much every aspect but mechanical prowess. Like, I think a lot of it comes down to, I would say, is like macro decisions. They don't have a shot caller. We look at the I know they're kind of similar to the Echo Fox lineup, but they had a few shot callers on that team. Like, that was the difference between this one. And even when Huni was struggling, they had a direction around the map with Dardoch pretty much leading the team with an early aggressive plays. We don't have any of that. Like, even if Lear makes aggressive plays earlier, like, he doesn't translate it. Even if Huni gets a lead, he doesn't dominate his lane. Even if Piglet gets a lead, I mean, he does is, like, the only thing he's useful for is trying to make the team not fall behind. Like, Demonte is not getting leads anymore, so that's kind of disgusting. So, like, all around the map, they just, like, I'd like to, like, I had a lot of hope for this team coming in, but unless they somehow, like, magically get a shot caller, I think it has to come down to, first of all, I think their coach is pretty poor. I would like to see somebody who,
mixed Grags, right?
I don't know his name yet. I can't remember what it is, but
Yeah, it's like
it starts with
Miss
an M.
Characters. Yeah,
But
Miss Crags.
but he really is just like the drafting phase. I mean, I didn't want to see Huni on. Like the one
Karma top.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
did like him on. It doesn't
he was
matter.
actually winning though.
It's
He neutralized Someday, and he pretty much made Someday not exist in the whole game. But
I mean, he didn't make him useless the whole game because those team fights were really well done on his part. But
I mean, Riven in team fighting is better than
no, no, she's
like
not. She's
all,
she's
all,
way
all
better at
Karma.
split pushing.
I mean, all Karma really offers is like shields and speed ups. That's
That's
really all she can
completely
do.
more useful than Riven's only ability to, like, the only thing she has is the ability to flank. She has to get surprise flanks off to be useful. But again, I would say that I'm really disappointed in this team. I really think they had the talent on the team alone to make it towards into the playoffs at the least. But, like, it just seems they're all mentally weak. They don't have somebody who's able to come back from a loss well. They're all pretty poor. Again, there's no shot caller, decisive shot caller on this team. There's not a single one. So I don't see this team get. I think they might be the worst team in the league. Like honestly, at this point, it's really a toss up between them and Echo Fox, in my opinion. I'm not sure who I would give it to.
Who do Optic play tomorrow?
Optic play FlyQuest.
I'll see. Well, he's recording the video, guys, tonight. So the way the rankings look, I moved 100 Thieves up to 7th, and I moved Optic to 8th, and I moved Clutch to 9th, and I moved Echo Fox to 10th because Echo Fox, oh my goodness, probably, like, did TSM win that game or did Echo Fox throw it? Because it could be one of two things, like, because today they're playing their new Academy jungler, Panda, and, I mean, he looked better than Rush.
Did you see? The thing about it is, I want to point this out. TSM, we're down in kills, remember? But they were up 5,000 gold the entire time.
But
it's not about kills. Like they moved around the map. They were out CSing their lane opponents. They were getting towers before them. I don't care what Echo Fox did. They never had the lead in this game. I don't think they ever definitively took a lead.
If there's a game where there's a 0-4 and 0 Rise, 0-2, 0-2, 0-2 and 0 LeBlanc, legitimately Bjergsen and Broken Blade had no kill participation and they won the game for them.
It doesn't, like, again, I think it comes down to just straight up out macro. That's what happened in this game. And I think a large portion of the out macroing came on Echo Fox's part because they out macroed themselves. They literally just did nothing. There.
They tried to take Baron and then...
Well, yeah, that was idiotic.
No, I mean, the play was smart. The way they executed it was stupid.
It was terrible. I mean, I guess, like, honestly, I like what they attempted to do. Like, I like the fact that you have a Kennen, you have a J4, you have all these things that, and a Galio, you have these things that really do fight well in the jungle, so I could see that happening, but it was not the time for it. Like, I did not like that situation. Apollo never got a substantial lead. Like, it was ridiculous. I think Apollo might have been the only one with the CS lead. No, wait, no, Phoenix had one too.
The fact that a 0-4 and 0 and 0-2, 0 LeBlanc actually got towers and actually almost got solo kills.
I mean, the thing about it is...
That was the worst game of the split. There's no way in any competitive game a 0-4 and 0 Rise should ever be that strong enough to do that.
If you don't stop him from CSing, he doesn't need kills. On top of the fact he got a lot of plates. Like, he had a massive amount of items. It was not like he was behind... Again, he was up in gold, I think.
Oh, plus he bought Banshee.
It was literally just the fact you're taking consideration into the kills, but you didn't look... Again, the gold lead was still in the favor of TSM.
I mean, like, TSM really didn't, like... All they did was they split push to victory. Like,
exactly.
They very rarely had a team fight.
Again, if your team is in a situation where, again, all of them had the at the very beginning of the game, they had gold leads. I understand that. So you essentially force them in a situation where they can't team fight and force them into the side lanes, and they were able to keep the gold deficit at a non-existent place where it didn't matter. I appreciate the fact of what Clutch was able to do. I mean, not Clutch, TSM was able to do. I don't think that's gonna work against any high tier team.
That's not gonna like today. Like if that was Cloud9 and they had some sort of lead against TSM, they would have probably just.
Well, no, Cloud9's ability to close out an elite is tremendously good. Except for today, they looked horrible.
I mean, today, I like that they were trying out Blabber because Finscaren's been a weak point for a bit.
I'm sorry, like, this was the worst game of the entire split for them.
I don't know. That CLG game was...
That CLG game was extremely clean on... you have to get it. The cleanest game of the day was on CLG's part. They had such decisiveness around the map. They made things happen. Like, I was incredibly impressed with the way... again, there were some misplays on FlyQuest's part, but I think the ability to punish plays... All the things that FlyQuest did, CLG did, I was impressed. That was a really bounce back game for them, in my opinion.
So who are you going to say for Clutch and Echo Fox?
That was the worst game of the split. That was horrible. Oh, you mean Clutch versus 100 Thieves is the worst game of the split, sorry.
The worst game of the split is TSM. That was the worst.
I'm telling you, Clutch versus 100 Thieves, in my opinion, it was slow. No, there was no macro play. There was no mechanical play. It was just...
Did 100 Thieves win that game or did Clutch lose it?
It was no one did anything. The only reason they won is because there's not allowed to be a tie. There was no winners in that game. No one should be happy with that game.
It's just like today where
TSM
it's just like today when G2 played against SK. Did SK win or did G2 throw? Because it looked like G2 threw.
I was really confused by that. I was kind of surprised that SK pulled that off. I don't think anybody could have predicted that. And we even said if you predict that, you're an idiot, and we're idiots because that happened.
I know.
So
Yeah, I think I'm gonna just do random. I'm gonna just say Echo
You
Fox
you
wins.
can't say random again. I want to give reasonings before. You can't do that, man. Come on.
I mean, Echo Fox were at some points doing some right things.
Yeah,
They have a sense of direction, even though it's like the worst in the league. They have a sense of direction. At least that is something to go off of. And Clutch, I'm moving them into 10th place.
I would honestly, as much as it hurts me to say that, I actually have to agree with that. And I've been sticking up for them every single week so far. I think the Clutch have pretty much proven. I really hope the fact that I changed my mind makes Clutch good. I'd love that. But Panda, even though I don't think he was incredibly good, was a step up from Rush. It's just what it was.
Like I say, he's played better in like one game than Rush has played in like.
Yeah, I think the fact that he didn't die a lot, even if he's not doing a lot, he did actually make some plays early game, but
He made some plays. He got some ganks off. He wasn't trying to basically grief. But yeah, I think Echo Fox are gonna win this. It doesn't really matter who wins this. They're both in 9th and 10th place anyway.
I mean, the games, they're not really far out. They're still not that far out. Like, let's
Yeah.
realize that they're not far out of playoff position. So it
Clutch,
could
I think Clutch just need to try and do some academy switches.
I think that's their best bet at this point. Like, Hooney is just not playing well enough.
It's not even that. It's just like just look at the Rogue situation. Just because.
I mean,
you get
Vander
worse
was a
players-
gigantic step up. Let's realize that.
But like even though, but Finn to Profit, no one would have predicted that Finn would be. As
Finn
decent
was
as he
good.
is.
The only reason they brought, like, if they could have kept Profit, they would have, and I still think that would have been a good call. Finn has not done anything. The reason
But
they
it's-
brought in Finn is because it was literally not possible for them to have another import, so they had to bring in somebody from that country. They already had the import slots. It's not
pretty much
because they
like,
switched things, I'm telling you.
It's pretty much like, even though it's like you might get worse players when teams switch out players, it's like as long as there's a change, as long as the change is something, you have
That's
to fight something.
idiotic. You don't change because if they're worse.
Or you keep the same players and keep losing.
It doesn't matter. You don't change for worse players. Keep it until you can find a good player.
Sometimes the worst players can be consistent. And
No,
get you
it's not.
wins.
They're not better. They're not worse players then if that's the
No,
case.
it doesn't really matter if they're better.
It does matter if they're better. Like, again,
put the better players in. when
give
you
me
get
a
wins.
reference to something that has been in that case.
I have tons.
You have none. The reason that is not the case is because you can't swap out worse players. You need to swap out somebody who's either proven in the academy scene. They have nobody in their academy scene that I think is really worth it besides maybe Cody's son.
Cloud9 did it last
With who?
split. With Blabber.
Blabber was
Zazel.
good.
Blabber
And Zazel is like one of the best.
No, but
What's
they
the best
needed
support?
They needed a change, and they were in 10th place. They needed a change.
They
Even though
swapped out
even
their
though
worst roles for some.
even though their players were worse on paper,
They
it's
weren't
still-
worse on paper. They were the two best at their roles in the academy scene. I don't know what you're
mean-
saying.
That's Finscaren and Smoothie.
Svenskeren and Smoothie were underperforming to a drastic amount.
I know, but you said would you not switch them out?
I wouldn't switch out people for no reason. You don't go switching out just because they're on academy roster. Don't just switch randomly. Just because mindless swaps, if they're not pre-planned or pre-organized, are not smart swaps. And even if it succeeds, you're not smart for doing it.
But that doesn't
Swaps-
really take into consideration that they're in 10th place. It doesn't matter.
It does
might as
matter.
well
You
try
need to
it.
practice. Again, I think they need to probably keep their strongest members. I think that's probably the best. And try and, again, you need to swap out your weakest members. That's the
But it's-
only way to make swaps.
But it's just not working.
Would you
It's
switch
not
out
working
Kobe
with the
Bryant
better
because your team's falling apart?
He was slightly underperforming and not.
That's
meshing
not
with
what
the
I
team.
asked. Kobe Bryant, again, there's not underperformance. Again, you swap out again the weak points of the team. I could see if you swapped out somebody who could shot call, but don't just switch because switches. That's not a
SKT
smart.
even did it last year when they needed a couple wins, and Pyrian got them a couple wins too.
Yeah, okay, first of all, the reason they did that one is because the team they swapped out. That's specifically because the team had only practiced with Pyrian, that specific roster.
I mean,
If you
Pyrian's
switch out the entire
potentially worse on paper, but it worked
was-
out just for a little bit.
Again, we also saw that they were not able to compete in the slightest. That's literally just it's a band-aid situation where you're not covering up good players. You're just putting in bad players and hoping that you could maybe make the playoffs. You won't get anywhere. It's not something that's
It's not
sustainable.
sustainable?
It's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable reason. You need to go with something again. Swap out. I think that they have a few. If they could get somebody on the academy roster, there's a few people in there that I think are pretty decent.
Is Cody's son supposed to switch out for Piglet?
I think that wouldn't be terrible. I mean, I don't think it's useful. You need to make more than that because again, he's not a shot caller. That's not going to fix anything. They need a shot calling player, and again, I don't think a good ADC when you already have a pretty decent one is going to be the big thing. I think what they need to do is get a shot calling jungle, a shot calling top laner, shot calling anything. Anybody who could be a shot caller would be a good replacement on this team.
I would say just try out their academy jungler.
I don't know who their academy jungler is, so I wouldn't say that. I mean,
I mean,
if he has the worst stats in the league, I wouldn't take him.
but one of the more you're gonna say Clutch or Echo Fox?
I'm gonna say Echo Fox. Honestly, Clutch Gaming really just does nothing. Panda looked.
Watch them win tomorrow.
Yeah, I would be happy with that, but Panda was just a substantial step down. Step up from Rush, even though I don't think he's great, and that's just good enough for me. Honestly, I could see this Echo Fox taking games off of Optic, but this Clutch Gaming is not going to beat anybody because they just don't have anybody to shot call for them. They're not going to make, even if they get leads, they don't know how to close out. So, yeah.
Today is gonna be a nice marquee game of Cloud9 versus TSM. Both teams looked more off than they usual did. I mean, TSM's comp does not work against a team that knows what they're doing. That comp was terrible. LeBlanc and Rise and Ezreal.
Golden Guardians was 10 times worse. Again, they had no ability to team fight. They had split pushers who lost to the split pushers that TSM had. Like, honestly, Echo Fox had. Echo Fox. I did not really like their comp in general.
I like Echo Fox's comp more than TSM's because TSM's comp, if you beat them substantially earlier on, that comp just falls apart. Like, LeBlanc can't flank or do anything if she's that far
LeBlanc, I think LeBlanc actually scales pretty well because of the fact that she's one of the few assassins that can get herself out. Sejuani is a great frontliner, and Ezreal is one of the best scaling ADCs because he has self-peel.
See, this is the thing. Like, Cloud9 are trying out Blabber. I mean, so things are not going to be like as polished as they were with Fenskaren. But what was TSM's excuse? TSM's excuse was like, "Hey, we're going to draft an all split push comp. Hope it works against a team fight comp, and then."
Again, they really did outshot call. I have to admit, they completely outshot called Echo Fox. Never fell. Like, again, look at the gold leads. They never fell behind, really.
I mean, Acadian had to steal a Baron for them to become competent enough to able to fully, like, sufficiently flourish their split push style. Because if Echo Fox get that Baron, I don't know if TSM even think that they can even go for the split push that they were trying to do, because they weren't even attempting it. Because you look at the Baron quadrant.
It was a stupid Baron call, again. If you can't secure something more than a 50-50 smite battle, then you shouldn't do it. I don't think...
there was no vision. Acadian should have never been in that position to take it. There was no vision on TSM's part, though.
Again...
Like this is Blabber's first week back in. That there's probably not going to be as, like, crisp communication. But what's TSM's issue? TSM
I really did not... Like, again, I don't think it was an incredibly good game. But it wasn't a bad... Like, again... Like, I've seen a lot of teams that are able to fall behind. Like, it's going to happen eventually. And I think this is one of the few times, again, they forced them into a situation where when they were attempting to take the Baron, remember, they started having Broken Blade split push.
What else? Okay, Echo Fox might have even played worse because they let Broken Blade take half the base, and while they were trying to team fight. Holy crap. Maybe I was wrong.
It was Broken Blade and Bjergsen, actually. They essentially forced them. The Baron was a bad call on Fox. There was no reason they should have gone for it. I'm sorry. Like, they had taken two Nexus turrets by then?
Broken Blade had taken an inhibitor and 2 Nexus towers. So they can. So in hindsight, they can never leave their base because the fear of the backdoor. Because all Broken Blade has to do is either just realm warp or TP to the base, and he can just finish it by himself.
I mean, yeah, it was Bjergsen and Broken Blade.
Yeah.
Fair. I mean, the reason is they shouldn't.
I mean, both could have did it. They both had TP, so it really didn't matter.
I don't think the fact that they got outlaned in the early game was bad, but at the same time, I think they didn't do terrible with. Like, again, they played well from behind. I did
you just praise Broken Blade for not losing laning phase.
I mean, it wasn't just straight off getting outlaned, and on top of the fact that Kennen does do well under Rise, they both do pretty decent.
I don't know. Tomorrow is going to depend on the comp that TSM and Cloud9 play. I still think Cloud9 showed a bit more, but I don't know who they're going to play tomorrow.
I think that Cloud9 actually looked substantially worse. Like, this is still their worst game of the season. Was yesterday.
I thought the CLG
CLG was so clean. CLG played that so well. I don't understand what you're saying.
You mean back in week 2?
I'm talking about this week. What?
Oh, no.
Are you talking about Cloud9's?
Yeah.
Like, again, I think they were surprised by comp. Like, again, that was...
They still played bad, though.
They did, but again, CLG, that was the first game they decided on their comp of Ezreal with 2 substantially tanky frontliners. Like, CLG, honestly, I can't fault anybody. I think everybody, but maybe Team Liquid would have lost to that pretty hard. So I think Cloud9 played pretty decent for being surprised by something this early in the season.
But I think that
But
It just depends though because Blabber didn't look horrible.
he didn't.
I think, but I think it's just like the team. It happened at Worlds too. Like you saw the team look different with Finscaren and you saw them look different with Blabber. It just depends. They're trying to be they're trying to just like have different styles that they can play.
I don't like again. Even though I do think that TSM slightly played better the day before, like yesterday, I do think that Cloud9 is just substantially better than them right now. I don't think that one specific game is gonna give me enough to say TSM has overtaken them. I still think Cloud9 has this. I do.
Did you see how the way Sven and Smoothie played? They got destroyed.
What do you mean? Did Sven even die this game?
Did he die? Yeah,
Didn't
he
die
did.
a single time. I don't think so.
On the Ezreal?
I don't
Or the
think
day
he
before?
died. Yesterday versus Echo Fox. I don't think he died once.
Yeah, he did. I know he died once. I'm pretty sure he died once.
I don't think he died. Let me see.
But
He died one single time. Okay, he had the least deaths in the entire game. But no. But
I think Cloud9 will win this one, but I don't know what type of style they're gonna show because I don't know who they're gonna play on this day that you guys are watching.
no, again,
Yeah.
Cloud9 is probably gonna win this. I mean, regardless of who they played, they are still the most decisive team when they get a lead. Even though I think TSM has that early aggressive style, I don't think it's gonna be good enough to counteract. I would not be surprised. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that TSM wins this.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. If
Like, TSM can win this game. They are still a challenging team, and I think they're definitely the third best team right behind Cloud9. If they take this game, I won't give Cloud9 I'll give the Cloud9 the benefit of the doubt. They're still, in my opinion, even losing today, I still think they are the substantially better team.
Because I think I still have to look back into that Echo Fox game of like they weren't ready to do what they needed to do until they stole a Baron that they had no vision on. That
Dude,
was
they forced them into a situation where they're split pushing so well that they had to contest a Baron. The Baron, essentially, them getting the Baron, they lost 2 Nexus turrets for it. Like, that's ridiculously good on TSM's part, and then they stole the Baron because they couldn't. Echo Fox wasn't into a situation where they could stop a 50-50 smite battle.
I guess it's tomato type
It's
situation.
really not. That was genuinely not a good play on Echo Fox's part, and TSM capitalized on it.
You're gonna say Cloud9 or TSM?
I already said Cloud9. I think that TSM can win this, but Cloud9 has looked quite a bit better.
And don't we have one of the games is CLG versus Team Liquid, right?
Yes. I mean, CLG looked pretty decent today. I mean, they did.
Counter picking Riven with the
Counterpick.
Jack. They counter picked the Riven with the Jax pick.
Jax doesn't counter Riven.
Are you crazy?
Yeah, he doesn't counter Riven.
Are you?
He doesn't. No.
You got a broken brain or something.
Jax literally has a terrible early game.
I mean,
and Riven has an incredibly good one.
Unless Riven can literally do anything to level 6 against him, he's just gonna outscale her.
That's how he outscales once he gets the 2 items of Trinity Force and the next item after that, which is Spear.
I mean, Wiggly did gank from a lot.
Well,
so...
the way it works is Riven does actually win this lane early. I think that, again, you have too many mobility options for him to even get off of his like, you can essentially just run away from his counter strike, so he can't do anything. Like, again, I do think Jax can win this game, but the mobility issues in comparison are just a little too much for him early game. He does outscale, and once he gets those 2 items, if you're not substantially ahead, you just lose. Even if you are a little bit ahead, you still lose. But
now, do you going up against COG? Do you blind ban the Jax?
No.
Or you just let him have it.
I honestly think that I don't think they should. First of all, I don't think that Team Liquid should be scared of anybody right now. I think they're just substantially playing. They're playing better
the way
than everybody.
Optic played today, you won't have to be scared of anybody.
Wait, who?
The way Optic played against Team Liquid the day before, you wouldn't have to be scared of anybody.
Like, honestly, like they're in such good shape right now. I don't think that there is a team in the league right now that can just put up a fight against them. Corjaja just does too much against, like, there's just nobody in existence that I think has the ability to contest them. I think that, like, again, the weak points are still the top side of the map, but who cares? Like, you really still do have too many strengths around the map for them to be able to just solely focus that. Like, if Xmithy gets anybody going, it's over. Any one of these lanes with the lead, pretty much.
He reminds me of what Broxa did last year for Fnatic.
Yeah, except I think that, again, I think this might be a... Like, if they could shore up their shot calling, this could be an incredibly good team.
Yeah, I think that CLG doing that against FlyQuest, like, even though Darshan got ahead in that FlyQuest game, I mean, the rest of CLG really still weren't doing much. It was kind of just off the back of Darshan.
I don't say that. Like, again, they shut down... Santorin was a non-factor that game. Santorin was forced into a situation where he couldn't do anything. Again, that was mostly him being terrible, but
That's mostly also because like pole boats are like griefed half the time.
the worst player on that team was by far and away Santorin, I would
Wild,
say.
wild turtle. No one will ever go full wild turtle.
Well, I think that Santorin was substantially like he was just horrible yesterday.
I'm gonna say Team Liquid win.
I don't think anybody can really like.
If anybody says CLG,
No, we can't say that. Remember the SK Gaming game?
That one guy on Reddit will.
The SK Gaming versus G2 that we said these exact words for.
That one Reddit fan of CLG will.
But Team Liquid should win this. They're early again. Counter Logic Gaming. It is, but Counter Logic really doesn't take advantage of those early game situations, so I think that's going to be fine. The team fighting is substantial, like always going to be in favor of Team Liquid. They're the best team fighting team in the West, so I don't see CLG winning this one.
Because it's Counter Logic, right?
Okay, and then we got 100 Thieves versus Golden Guardians.
God, these are some. If we were paying money to go see these games, I would ask for refunds.
I mean, I want to be honest. I do think that Golden Guardians did take advantage to an extent, like of a lot of what's it called? Of a lot of Cloud9. I think they played pretty well. But again, like what's it called? Like I think that I didn't like their draft comp. Like their comp was horrible. No ability to team fight whatsoever. But your bot lane,
Guardians.
yeah. But your bot lane, yeah. Golden Guardians had a terrible team comp. I think that's the main reason as to why they couldn't pull off a win. When I think they
Golden Guardians or TSM's day one team comp was tied for like the worst I've seen. That was just ferocious.
But Golden Guard again, they had no ability to team fight. This isn't even a split pushing team either. They're not good split pushers. Like the secondary person who can split push on this team is probably the bot lane of Kalista Tahm Kench. Kalista Tahm Kench is a really good combo. I think this works well, but only in team fighting comps because this really does give your ADC the ability to just have substantial amounts of peel. And you can't really gank the bot lane so they won't fall behind and we'll still have they'll pretty much beat every lane. So the big problem with this game was not the bot lane. I think that the bot lane comp could have worked out if you drafted a team they drafted a team that if you don't get ahead early, you lose. It's over. You can't team fight. You can't out split push. You can't do anything. Like there was no reason to get a Jace, an Elise, a LeBlanc, like on an ADC comp that I think is really centralized around the ability, around team fighting prowess. Like Kalista gets that early game lead and then she shoves in mid. She just keeps the bot lane and tries to drag pressure into the bot lane. But again, she's not centralized. She's not an ADC that is able to scale. Like all of these players, besides Tahm Kench, do not scale well at all. Like Kalista falls off after 2 to 3 items. She's a mid game at the most character, and then she's done. And they didn't even make aggressive plays around the map. Like what was the plan here? Like this comp was horrible. It was not sustainable. Like you literally have to be G2 to be able to pull this comp off. That's the only way it works.
Or you could be Fun Plus Phoenix.
FunFlex Phoenix would work, but that's just because they're that's the smartest team in the league. I'm sorry, they might be the single smartest team in the league.
Golden Guardians drafted like they were Team Liquid and they lost.
Again, yeah, I agree with that completely. Like they drafted Team Liquid wouldn't ever draft this comp. I'm sorry. This is an early game only team comp, and that's not Team Liquid style. This is G2 style of team comp.
This is like if you Griffin trying out
Griffin would play this team comp too. I could see that.
They would. Griffin can play anything at this point.
But all around.
Golden Guardians is playing up against who you said?
100 Thieves.
FlyQuest? 100 Thieves.
100 Thieves looked horrible, man.
100 Thieves are terrible.
I think
like I said, guys, the day before, did 100 Thieves win that game or did Clutch throw it? Because an actual competent team would have beaten them.
Again,
they should be 0-2 right now going into this match.
Yeah, again, who he is going to be taking advantage of in this mid lane? I don't think
really high.
Okay, but I don't think there's no way that who he even competes with Froggen. Froggen's playing on another level of him right now. The top lane
actually really well.
The top lane, somebody has definitely stepped it up since the beginning of the season. I think he's playing extremely well now. The bot lane, again, Aframu is still a liability in this bot lane. And Onda, I have to give credit. I don't think Onda's been playing well. He didn't play well yesterday, but I think that the past 2 weeks before yesterday, he's been playing well. So all around, I do think that 100 Thieves win this. You know what? Let me think. Yeah, I do think 100 Thieves can easily win this because, again, Like,
I think Golden Guardians can win this.
either one of them could win this. This is a close game.
That's the thing, though.
Like 100 Thieves, they did not look clean at all yesterday, but I think that was one of the worst games they've had in the past few weeks.
No, there's been worse.
That was their worst game. I'm sorry, they did nothing and they won. The only reason they won is because
I've seen worse.
In these past few weeks, from 100 Thieves.
I remember when these teams first faced each other.
I said
100 Thieves only won. I've seen worse. Maybe
in the past few weeks, I don't think they played worse. I think this is probably.
They literally did nothing. That's the problem. What's wrong with these NA teams? How are you the one ahead and you're the one who fights and you're the one who loses?
Again, Contracts is an early game aggressive jungler that is not good at it. I don't like him. I don't like his style right now. I think Anda has been slightly proactive in the past few weeks, and I'm kind of happy about that. I think there's gradually stepping it up a bit, but they're still really bad. I think Aframu, if Huhi can get a matchup where I think he can survive the mid lane, I think this team wins because Golden Guardians really just, in my opinion, they have one of the worst, if not the worst, post laning phase teams. If they don't have the lead, if Golden Guardians doesn't have the lead post laning phase, I don't see them doing anything. 100 Thieves is not good until 5 items, but Golden Guardians is also not good at anything besides winning in the early game and taking advantage.
Golden Guardians literally loses as they load onto the rift and go into the lane.
Golden Guardians have won a substantial amount of games. Gotta give them credit for that.
Yeah.
They're tied with 100 Thieves. Let's realize that they have the same record as 100 Thieves right now.
I think Golden Guardians can beat them, actually.
I do think that, but again, I still think that the lack of just genuine team fighting presence besides Froggen is going to be a big detriment to this team. Maybe I can unless they honestly pick again. I don't like them reverting back to these beginning of the season comps. We saw what worked for them. A tank top. We don't need to see Haunter on a carry. We need to see Froggen on what's it called? A mage, like Orianna, something similar to that. We need to see contracts again. I'm okay with the Elise.
Sintra just came back in too.
Put definitely on a scaling or at least ADC that scales because his laning phase is not going to be good with Olay. There's no reason to draft an early game ADC.
There's no reason to draft anything for Olay.
But all around, because of the fact that I think that they've been drafting terrible. This last game was the worst drafting phase I've seen, especially since it counteracts their playstyle. I don't see Golden Guardians winning this, and I'm gonna say 100 Thieves win this because
I'm gonna say Golden Guardians win.
Right.
I think it's not gonna really matter, but both teams draft are garbage.
And then FlyQuest versus Optic Gaming.
That's the last one.
Yes.
Wow. Where do you start? I think if you look back to their previous games, the day before, it's wow. I would be ashamed if I was a coach.
I'm gonna be honest. I think that Optic Gaming actually looks pretty decent right now. Honestly, again, they went 2-0 last week and they lost a game against Team Liquid. Expected. Even if you go 2-0, everybody's gonna lose to Team Liquid. I think that they're in a good spot right now. I think they're probably gonna make that 6th slot, maybe 5th, honestly, because a lot of these teams in the middle of the pack are looking pretty poor right now.
The clump.
Yeah. So honestly, I could see Optic Gaming at the very least being a challenge for this team, but FlyQuest is still one of the teams. Again, if Optic gets a lead, I think they can take this game because again, I really like this jungle duo that they have in the this jungling duo they have in the jungle.
I'd say just give Dokla give him what the Maokai they gave him the day before.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of team you want to take Meteos into because again, you're not gonna win. Even if
I don't know, Dardoch wouldn't be a bad matchup for Santorin.
It's not about this early game aggression. You want to counteract. If you can stall out to the mid game, I think that with Meteos on the team, they can win this team. They can beat this team because Meteos is honestly again still the better shot caller. I think that Big is the main shot caller, but the team looks substantially more stable when they have Meteos on the team. I think that they are more decisive. And Dardoch, again, he does make these really early aggressive plays, but you're not going to get substantially ahead of FlyQuest, who has Dardoch. Who has Santorin. If you want to win this game, I think they really just need that secondary shot caller that helps them, go through the mid game. So I'm going to say FlyQuest does win this game, actually, because Pobelter is just playing... He's playing really well. I think he's going to match up really well against their strongest player, that's Crown. And Dokler's just playing terrible, and I think that Vipers played pretty well this year. So
I'm gonna say Optic will win this.
I'd like to say Optic, but again, FlyQuest doesn't look horrible. I still think they're probably in the top 5 for teams right now. So
Oh man, they're having like a Schalke effect right now. They're just on a downward trajectory.
I mean, they've had pretty hard. No, they lost it.
I think. Do you know how FlyQuest wins this game? This is what you do. You draft the Yasuo for Wild Turtle, and then you draft the Orin for JJ.
Probably not. So I'm gonna say FlyQuest wins this. I could easily see Optic Gaming again. They get either if they can stall out towards the mid game. I don't see FlyQuest beating them with what I would say is a Meteos big. If they take Dardoch, you obviously have to get the early game lead, but I don't see them competent enough to close out a lead right now. So I'm gonna say Optic does look better in recency. Again, they still have looked better in the past week, but I'm not gonna get too much credit for them yet.
Yeah, it's kind of understandable, but that's pretty much it. I have to kind of swiftly get out of here, guys, because I have to get up for work early tomorrow. What else is there for games? Match of the week is gonna be Cloud9 versus TSM. They're always the match of the week, so if that's always on, because Lakers versus Celtics, Boston Red Sox versus New York Yankees. What else is the other one? Oh yeah, the soccer is like Schalke and their football.
So
man, I feel bad. 100 Thieves, Optic, Clutch, Echo Fox all look like substantial trash.
Alright, so that's pretty much it. If you have any criticisms in the comment, feel free to leave them, because the only one you're going to be disagreeing with is him, and I'm fine with that. So have a good day, everybody. Got anything else to say?
Clutch the 10th. I didn't put him in playoffs. I'm glad.
Shut up. I'm ending it because he's trash talking me.